to talk about is really one of my most favorite characters in the Bible is Joseph. If any one of you seen Joseph King of Dreams, the cartoon? Awesome cartoon. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Anyway, Joseph, his life is a great, great example to being with God, to being a Christian. He wasn't a Christian because Christianity didn't exist yet, but he really showed us the way of how you're supposed to be following God and how you're supposed to be with God in every single aspect of your life. Since the very beginning, I'm not going to read the whole story. There's like 10, 15 chapters of it. Last few chapters of Genesis. If you guys want to read it at home, you guys are more than welcome to. But since the very beginning, Joseph was very much loved by his father. And it wasn't his fault that he was loved more than his brothers. And his brothers really hated that fact. They really hated Joseph for that very fact, that he's being loved more than we are. How's that any fair? Isn't fair. And then he has these dreams. He has one dream where his brothers bow to him. He has another dream where his brothers and even father and mother bow to him. And they're going, what's going on? Who does he think he is? He's the youngest. By the right, our older brother should receive the blessing. Our older brother should be most loved. And we're supposed to be looking up to him and bowing to him, and not our youngest brother. And so they sell him into slavery. They wanted to kill him, but they sold him to a caravan that went to Egypt. His life was great. Joseph's life was great up to the point where he was sold. He was living in a house with his father and mother. He didn't do the hard work that his brothers did. He had it easy. And then he's sold into slavery. So from being up on top, he went all the way down to being a slave. Some time passes by. He's still loyal to God. He still follows God. He still does not forget that God, he does not forget where God, his father taught him. Because the Bible did not exist yet. He didn't have any word to read. The prophets were not born yet. So he was following what his father taught him, the God that his father knew. And he did a great job at it. Pretty soon, the owner of the house that bought him as a slave, he saw that through Joseph, there is a blessing. Through Joseph comes prosperity into my home, so I'm going to make him over all that's in my house, over everything. And so finally, after being a slave, Joseph's life starts going up. It's going up again, upward. And everything's great. He's just lightly below his master. He oversees everything. And then the master's wife tries to sleep with him. He says no. She says that he tried to rape her, and he goes to jail. So from being a slave and then almost a master, he goes even lower into a prison. So pretty crazy. He gets all these waves, ups and downs in his life, and he stays loyal to God. Even in prison, he stays loyal to God. So we're going to look at his life, and we're going to see, okay, not fair. It's not his fault that his father loved him more. It's not his fault that he saw the dreams. It's not his fault that she tried to sleep with him and he did what is right. It's not fair. And many times in our life, we might look at things that happen at work, things that happen all around us, relationships, parents, something fails. It didn't happen the way you wanted to, and you get disappointed, and sometimes you turn away from God and you're like, I don't want this. This is not how I planned it. This is not how I saw it. But we've this very good example right here, Joseph. If you look at his life is a perfect example. Anybody know how gold becomes perfected? Through fire. Gold is taken from the earth and it's still mixed with all the other stuff that's in the ground. So they take it and they take it into fire. They melt it to a point where it's completely melted down, it's liquid. And then they freeze it and they take off the top, they take off all the bad stuff because it floats or it sinks. So they take off all the top and bottom stuff. Now, it becomes solid, but it's not pure yet. They do it again. Then they do it again, and they do it again until the gold is as pure as it could get. Now, how can I relate this to a life of Joseph? Ups and downs, like heat. He gets melted down, and then he becomes solid. Up, down, If you want God to use you, but you want it easy, you don't want any problems in your life, then it's not going to happen because you're not pure. God only deals with pure people. God only deals with what is right, who is righteous. God does not deal with unclean. He tries to purify you. He makes you clean. But if you're resisting, there are different kinds of metals. There are those that are low melting point and tough. I deal with metal on a daily basis, so I know all about it. But if you're a tough one, it's gonna take you a while, and it's gonna be really hard on you. Believe me, God is gonna completely break you if you're not willing to let go of everything you own, of your family, like Joseph did, of place where you lived, your home, everything, everywhere you are, in every aspect of your life. If you're not willing to let go, then you cannot follow God's will. And Joseph is a great example, true. But the most perfect example in our life and in any life would be Jesus Christ. I can relate to Joseph in my life, and I can say that, yeah, I want to be more like him. But truly, I want to be more like Jesus Christ. Because he showed us a true example of sinless life, and he given us the way out. He is our true gateway to heaven. So if you're not willing to let go of everything you have tonight, if your obsession is your car or buying a house or getting promoted, then you're not on the right way. Because your obsession should be God, following his will. Before Joseph, his grandfather, Abraham, he left the land of his ancestors because God told him. And he said, pack up and leave. Leave everything behind. Some relatives stayed, of course. A lot of them stayed. He only took what belonged to him, his family. And he left to a land he did not know. And because he trusted God so much, God said, this land I will give to you and your ancestors, and it'll be yours forevermore. And Israel is still there, thousands of years later, because one man listened to God. The choice is really yours. God does not force. God is a loving God. God is a caring God. But God is also just, and he will not force you. So if you do not want to let go, you will not. God will try once, second time, third. God will keep trying all your life. But if you're not letting go, then nothing will happen. So if you truly want to be pure, you have to go through melting points. And you have to be cleansed. So I want us to pray tonight. And we will pray, ask God. Say, God, forgive me for being so resistant to your word. Because what truly makes you go to church? What truly makes you do the decisions that you make? Do you come to church because your friends are here, or because your parents make you? Do you just want them off your back? Or what is the true purpose of you serving God? Serve God with all your life. Surrender to God. And God, after perfecting you, after some time, he will make you great. And he will use you. And we see that at the end of his life, Joseph becomes second to Pharaoh in the greatest nation of that time, Egypt. And he has everything he would ever want. May that be our life, more spiritually than financially, of course. May God's name be glorified in everything. Amen.